In post New York City Marathon 2025 analysis, we want to look at why did women run a course record and men did not, yet whether favored the same. If you look at men, I think the first thing we will look at what we call the conservative early pacing or slow early pacing. Men crossed the first half in 63:30, so that was off the course record mark by 45 seconds. If you look at number 2, we have what we call a tactical group racing. So for the men, the lead group stayed together for quite the larger part of the marathon course. Actually, they stayed together for between 22 and 23 miles. And remember, the full course is 26 miles. Hence, this made it that what was going to work was more on the last sprint finish rather than a sustained tempo. Number 3, you look at how the elite start list in men, we had deep competitive feel. So a strong experienced group of runners led to a contested race focused on winning rather than sustaining, even pacing needed to challenge the course. So instead of men pushing from the start to finish so that they could run the course record, they focused more on making the calculations on winning rather than pushing when on time. If you look at women, we look also at 3 things. And the first one being the aggressive record-oriented pacing from the start. Unlike men, women crossed the halfway in 69:50. That is a sub 220 pace. So it tells you it was faster from the start, or it was on course record from the first kilometer. The other thing, irrespective of the bridges, the hills, which are very challenging through the course of New York City Marathon. The other one being the decisive late race surge and negative splits. You realize I told you, or what we just discussed, the issue of running or setting from the first kilometer a sub 220 faster pace. So Obiri countered a mid-race surge by Lokedi, or a mid-race move by Lokedi. When Lokedi tried to move the pace more faster, just past the halfway, Obiri countered the same. And not actually just countered. In fact, Obiri unleashed a blistering final mile in Central Park. You remember Obiri pushed alone, she did what we call solo run, especially the last kilometer, which again was so fast. So that brought the difference in how the tactical part of women worked compared to men. The other thing was the issue of motivated redemption and high stakes in incentives offered when you run the course record in New York. Obiri actually, I think, was alert and focused from the start. You remember she was the first runners-up in 2024. Therefore, I think this year she came prepared to conquer New York City Marathon. Of course, on the incentives, if you run a course record in New York City Marathon, there is a bonus of $50,000 US dollars. So the Bolt strategy is one of the women's marathoning's most competitive eras. And what actually Obiri did was one of the bold strategies in New York City women marathon running. It was well calculated, and indeed it worked. So that is the difference in what made the women to run the course record and men not. Now that was the end of World Marathon Majors, but the year is not ended. We'll still be looking at one platinum race, that is Valencia Marathon in December.